All this week, and it will happen next. Hundreds of people lined up, many in costume, outside a Manhattan courthouse in freezing weather. Some camped out, you can see. Was it for Taylor Swift, Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce? No. They braved frostbite for the chance to see and support the alleged United Healthcare assassin, Luigi Mangione. It's mind-boggling. Maybe. This is the same possible alleged murderer who received so many pictures from women his team had to ask fans to limit the number of photos they sent. Pictures to a guy who, on video, shot an innocent man in the back, point blank. The case against Luigi became more clear this week. Inside that courtroom, there was the release of the 911 calls from the McDonald's that led to his capture. His defense team is questioning whether his backpack was legally searched when police unmasked the alleged killer. And there's going to be a crucial session on Monday about what evidence is allowed in at trial. With us now, criminal defense attorney Mark Eiglarsh and Jonathan Alpert, Manhattan psychotherapist, author of the upcoming book, Therapy Nation, out this May. Excellent cover, I might add, sir, for that book. Mark, going to start with you. I'm going to get to why these people feel this love for Luigi in a minute. But, Mark, as a defense attorney, how do you get one of these people on the jury?
Oh, you pray. And you know what? It's not that difficult now. I thought it was just a few nut jobs. It's not. When you go to the page for his legal defense fund and you see that 1.4 million people parted with their hard-earned dollars and gave that kind of money, and you read that people are calling him a hero, there's 37,000 people. I just can't imagine they've given that kind of money. I don't think it's difficult to find those people who will be stealth jurors and act like they can really follow the law, but really go in there with their own agenda, which is freeing Mangione.
You know, we always say that if one person writes in, 50 people or 100 people thought it. Probably it's not quite the same ratio on social media, but
right.
I guess you can infer, Jonathan, right, that if one person donates money, certainly 50, 100, 1,000 people feel the same way that one person who's willing to put their money on it is.
Well, absolutely. And if what I see in my practice is any indication of the love that people have for this alleged murderer, I think we're in trouble as a nation.
Hold on. So when the people come in, are they coming in because they think they have a problem that they like Luigi and they're saying, please cure me of this? Or they just love Luigi and you figure it out?
Well, I wish that were the case where they identify that they have a problem, but unfortunately not. I think what we have here is victimhood mentality gone wild, and we have people who feel wronged by society, and they feel that it's their duty to take action or correct it. But one thing that we should think about is, has any policy at any major insurance company changed since this murder? From what I understand, nothing has changed.
No, nothing has changed at all. I want to play this because this is, I think, encapsulates what you're talking about. The Legal Defense Fund founder, the spokesperson for it, for the legal committee, Sam Beard, was on Banfield Wednesday. Take a listen.
Brian Thompson's killing seems to me, without a doubt, to be, to the average American, the most celebrated since that of Osama bin Laden's. And our job as storytellers is to ask, why? And that is because Americans understand that this is not a mere assassination, but it's tyrannicide. We have a word for this, which means a selfless killing of a tyrant whose power is beyond the reach of law in a virtuous act of self-sacrifice. Luigi Mangione is a hero, and everybody knows it.
A tyrant whose power is beyond the reach of law in a virtuous act of self-sacrifice. And therefore, Jonathan, the question goes, how do people get to the point that they view a healthcare CEO as a tyrant beyond the reach of the law?
Well, first of all, if you're viewing this CEO the same way that most people view bin Laden, then you absolutely have problems, and you need to get that checked out. Is this
part of why people hate Trump so much?
That might be part of why people hate Trump. They demonize him, and they don't recognize any of the policy that he has that actually does good for people in society.
So this is a lack of taking personal responsibility, right? It's not my fault that life isn't worked out. I'm going to blame somebody else, and when I blame somebody else, it makes me feel better, and that gives me a reason to go kill that person.
Yeah, and that's part
or
of
hate them.
that's part of the victim mentality. And my profession, I have to say, is partially to blame for this. There are great therapists out there, but there are also some therapists that are they're perpetuating the problem. Someone comes in, they say, "Well, I had a fight with my boss." And the therapist will say, well, of course, your boss is wrong and you're right. Had a fight with their spouse. It's your spouse's fault, not your fault. So we're creating little monsters out there, little Luigis, and we need to stop.
Mark, at some point, is this going to become a defense in that you won't have to find sort of underground or silent jurors who view the world this way? People will now, or lawyers will now argue this case.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. That guy Beard, I was on after him to point out how scary he is because he's smart. He knows how to speak. And this guy's using his passion and his gifts for this murderer instead of all the children's charities that need funding, victims' defense funds, they need assistance, and they're using it for this. Listen, Mama taught me a few things, right? Don't sit so close to the TV. You swallow gum, it stays in you for 7 years. And murder is wrong. I think that lesson's been lost with these younger people. I don't get it.
I'm still stuck on what happens to gum when you swallow it. But that's my thoughts for the weekend.
Fact.
Jonathan, Mark, thank you both very much.